Good day and welcome. This is the last video, the fourth part of the series for Super Studio, the design competition, which went over the last 6 days. It was definitely not an easy 6 days, I can tell you that for free, but it was definitely worth it. It was an enjoyable experience. I was the only one in my state that was an individual who individually handed up their competition. So I was up against teams of 3 and 4. I wasn't expecting to win, as I mentioned in the first video. I didn't win, which is, pretty understandable when it's just really difficult to produce as much work as a group of say 3 or 4 do in 6 days, and I had a lot of other stuff going on as well. But as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't expecting to win, but I'm really glad that I did participate in Super Studio. I learned a lot, and just producing these videos, you might have seen that it really helped push me to see how much I can do in just a matter of 6 days. And it was a lot more than I expected, and I produced quite a lot of work considering that I had a lot of uni work going on as well, and I had to still go to my part-time job, and it was just, a good opportunity to push myself. Now, with that said, I'm not feeling great at the moment. I got out of nose surgery not that long ago. That's why I'm super nasally, so I'm going to try not doing much more talking here, but I'm going to play my video presentation that I showed on the presentation day, and you guys can see my design and my concept and my final product, and I hope you guys enjoy it. With that said, let's go into it. Life has been miserable this year. Boy, what a start to a presentation. Life hasn't just been miserable to me or just you, but to everyone. It's been a universally miserable year we've been wishing had ended since March. So I've decided to design something that signifies the isolation people have been experiencing individually on a personal level. To signify this personal feeling of isolation, I've decided to choose a site in Lauterbrunnen in the Swiss Alps. It's about as isolated as you can get. And there's a few reasons why I chose this site. First of all, the brief asks us to forensically examine a photograph of the represented desolated place. However, the place I'm trying to represent is different and unique to every single person. We isolate away from each other, meaning everyone has their own personal place of isolation. The site I've chosen in Lauterbrunnen represents and signifies the isolation we've all been experiencing individually. In its standalone location, it reflects back to the loneliness we've experienced this year. The second reason why I chose this site is because, being the selfish person I am, is that it has meaning to me. This image has actually been my screensaver for the last couple of months, and it's a place I would love to go and travel to, but I can't because of the restrictions on travel at the moment. In fact, it's only because of isolation that I now want to isolate, because I've learnt how important isolation is, but I'll get more onto that later. The place is a symbol of isolation. And you might ask, why would anyone want to go to this place? Isolation has caused grief and hardship, sorrow, struggle. We've been grounded in a physical place away from the things that we love to do and the people we love to see. Though, is this really for the worse? Or perhaps the better? Despite the absolute overwhelming misery we've faced in 2020, there's been some really undeniably important and valuable lessons to be learnt from 2020. It's not until we isolate that we realize our unnecessary dependence on others. Isolation has grounded us in a physical place, sure, but that's given us the opportunity to wander freer than ever in our minds. It's given us the opportunity to dream big and reflect on the past to help us grow and progress forward. We are free to imagine the places we want to go and the people we want to see. We imagine this light at the end of the tunnel. Being able to spend that time in our own minds helps us realize what really matters to us. It teaches us the concept of delaying gratification, putting off what we want now so that we can have it in abundance later. Loneliness therefore fuels inspiration. While isolating, I've realized that we take the things we love for granted. It's not until they get taken away from us by force that we start to realize how important they were. Through isolation, I've also realized that if we want something and we get it instantaneously, it comes and goes quickly. But when we delay that thing and we delay having that reward and we focus on the process, we delay gratification, it makes that experience taste all the better. It lasts longer. It helps us appreciate what we have now rather than what we want in the future. My intention is therefore to design a place that delays gratification. It acknowledges isolation as a tool for reflection and growth. It reminds us of our own individual hardships, but can act as an end destination to help fuel us through those hardships and motivate us to keep going. To act as a beacon of hope, a promise of renewal, the light at the end of the tunnel. Getting to the site requires a long walk up the picturesque mountains of Lauterbrunnen, a pilgrimage to the promised destination of renewal. Upon arrival, the viewer is faced with the large doors on the golden facade. With high hopes for the destination, they open the door to realize that it's empty. A dark room with a small light at the other end, a threshold to another space. Upon squeezing through that tight space, they are opened up to another interior space that is also empty. This time it's well lit, and the focus of the room is a large mirror cantilevering off the mountain. The last light cunningly acts as a desirable place to set course to, the shiny building at the summit of the mountain. The viewer might rush up the mountain as quickly as they can to get to this destination, only for them to realize that the destination isn't that great. The viewer enters the first space to be disappointed by emptiness, and this emptiness symbolizes the loneliness we've been experiencing. It reminds the viewer of their struggles and hardships of 2020, being alone, facing isolation. The dark room literally acts as a tunnel with a light at the other end, the destination. But it leads to an empty space, another empty room, hosting just a large mirror. However, this mirror reflects down the mountain, bouncing off other mirrors to showcase the starting point of the journey. The viewer expected this destination of pilgrimage to be amazing, only to realize that the beauty was in the journey. They rushed up the mountains to get to this glimmering destination, only to realize that the best bits was in the journey, the process of getting there. Then, once the viewer has finally finished reflecting on this lesson they've just learnt, by literally reflecting on the journey they just took, they discover the stairs behind them, the stairway to heaven, or the staircase to the roof, which is the host of an infinity pool that you cannot see from the exterior of the building. This infinity pool becomes an unexpected destination that becomes great because you've just spent the time to reflect on the journey and you can now appreciate it. The idea behind the design is to teach that beauty is not in the end destination, but in the process. It's the challenges and the hardships we face that makes the destination feel good. If we get everything we want now without putting in any effort, it doesn't feel like an accomplishment. It's not worthwhile. My design is therefore a place of isolation, self-reflection, and thought. A place of pilgrimage that teaches a valuable lesson. The lessons I've learned from my past few months of isolation. It is the very last light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much for listening.